something like that. And there's this great discussion going on between the teacher and all the students about the anti-Stratfordians, which is a fancy word for people that don't believe that William Shakespeare wrote William Shakespeare's plays. And of course, as we're doing that, a young man, myself, raised his hand and said, "But Mr. Davenport, you just got to have faith." And Mr. Davenport looked at me and said, kind of whimsically and a little bit ironically, and said like the son of a missionary. And I was a little embarrassed, but he didn't mean it in a demeaning way. And so I want to talk to you about faith today a little bit. And, faith is something that we think of as being all cosmic and strange and weird. And yet, from my perspective, I believe that we see faith around us every single solitary day. And there are people of faith all over the place that live their lives daily with faith. I remember in one explanation that was given to me ages and ages ago was, that you have faith that the chair you sit in is going to hold you up and it's going to sustain you. And I guess that's a valid thing, but I'd like to take just a second and give you the definition from a pretty good source. It's been around an awful long time. That's the Bible, and it says, and I got to do this real quick. Now, faith is the assurance or the confidence of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. And, we often think of faith as being just a religious thing, but it's not. The definition that the writer of Hebrews says there is that it's the assurance or the confidence of things that we don't see. And, every great person and every great movement and every visionary has faith. Example, think of the Wright brothers. When the Wright brothers and many others at the time were trying to develop flight, there were scoffers that said, "No, you can't do that." Well, at this point, no one had ever flown, but they kept at it, and they had a vision, they had the faith that it was going to happen. And so they had confidence in what they didn't see because they hadn't seen the results yet. Another fantastic example is Edison when he was creating the light bulb. It is said that he failed 999 times to find the right filament to create the light bulb. But his vision of that wasn't based upon the reality because no one had seen such a thing before. They didn't know what a light bulb was. What he had was the idea of people not having to have gas running through their homes. And there had been a lot of dangers because of that. And he didn't want people to have lamps and things of that nature. He saw a vision for a better world. And because he had a vision for a better world, he kept trying until he did that. He did not see it, but he actually experienced faith in that very sense. And when we look at that, at the concept of faith, and we apply it to our daily lives, if we have a goal in mind and we've set something out in mind, we may be working towards that goal and never, for the longest time, we don't see achievement. See, because faith has nothing to do with results, it has to do with the goal in mind. I know of people that have that labor and labor and labor and labor and labor all their lives, and they see minimal results. And people say, "Look, they were a failure. They didn't accomplish what they were after." But you see, they were faithful in their task. And sometimes, once those people have retired, or sometimes even when they've went on to meet their reward, all of a sudden we start seeing the results. There's that principle of sowing and reaping. What you sow, you reap. If you sow corn, you're not going to get alfalfa. You're going to get corn. And so it's important for us to understand that faith isn't what we see, it's what we don't see. You know, if it hadn't been for faith, Gandhi would not have succeeded, because you see, his vision was an India that was united and wasn't under the control of Great Britain. Our founding fathers in the United States, they saw a free and independent nation. That's what they saw. Did it exist? No. We were controlled by the greatest nation on the face of the earth at the time. There are so many examples. I think one of my greatest examples is Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "I have a dream." And that dream was that everybody would have an equal chance and have equal rights, and they would all be treated equally. And when he was standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial on that day, it didn't exist. It was by faith that Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I had a dream." But you see, a dream isn't just a fantasy. A dream is something that you apply to with faith, and then you work. Had Edison not tried 999 times, he would not have had success. He had a dream, and he had faith, and that faith gave him the power to continue even through failure. Guys, girls, everybody that's out there, we all have hit the wall, and faith is what keeps us pushing against that wall until the wall falls down. 1 failure, 10 fails, 100 failures, 1,000 failures, that's not the issue. If you have faith in what you're doing, continue to do what you're doing so we can truly be people of faith. If you know the results there and you know that it'll happen, it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of being consistency and being active and doing what you're supposed to do. Guys, that's all I got for today. Have a great day. And remember, you, all of you, be faithful. Be people of faith. If you want to know how to be a better person of faith, there's some great training at www.easysteps123.com. This is Don signing.